Randy Caruso from Factory X. Randy, how long you been at Factory X, man?
Since 2009, right around.
And then how long were you actively fighting under Mark and those guys before you kind of switched to the coaching side?
So I think I retired in, I'd say 2015, 2014. So I was actively fighting for about 5 years, and I took on the role as a coach. My actual coaching designation is I'm the game plan and video breakdown coach. I was offered MMA wrestling coach, but because of my schedule, I had to turn it down. But basically, I watch video on every single opponent that comes to Factory X. I give the yes or no if we should accept the matchup. As far as for top-level guys, like UFC guys, I just do the tendencies, break down the tendencies, how I would attack, and set up the game plan. And I send it to Mark, and Mark comes up with the final game plan of how to defeat the guy.
Okay, and then with those responsibilities of having to watch video, I mean, what was your background as a competitor? I mean, did you fight mostly MMA? Did you fight a lot of Muay Thai? I mean, what was kind of your background when you were competing yourself?
So I started off, I wrestled since I was 6 years old all the way up until my junior year. I got a scholarship for baseball, so I didn't wrestle my senior year. I didn't want to get injured. And I'm from Cleveland, so pretty good wrestler in Ohio. And then I went on a scholarship for baseball. Didn't work out for about half a year. Ended up joining the military, and I went special forces as a rescue jumper. And during my time, I got into combatives, and I started to compete in combatives, and I had 50 plus fights in combatives, and I won a couple championships. And so I started with the grappling side, wrestling and jiu-jitsu was basically all I wanted to really do. And I started to get into a little bit of boxing. I did a couple boxing matches, went 4-0 in boxing. I tried my hand in kickboxing, and I didn't throw a kick, so it didn't last long. I went 0-1 in kickboxing, and then MMA I was 10-0, and then I had a kid and I stopped. I'm a firefighter, so that's my daily job, and I work 2 on 3 off, so I can't be at the gym all the time, with the guys. And I didn't want to be selfish and take a head coaching position that Mark offered and have all the guys work around my schedule. And so I told Mark, I'll help out whenever I can, but I can't be an official coach and teach classes, at specific times.
Well, first off, man, I want to say thank you for your service in the military, and then also to your own community as a firefighter. I mean, that's a pretty big sacrifice, especially as a father and as a husband. Taking the time that you do away from your family to serve your community and your country it speaks a lot about your character. And then also the fact that you weren't willing to kind of make fighters bend around your schedule. Obviously their fight career, that's the most important thing to them, and for you to realize that, I think is a very grown up and a decision that some guys at a team like Factory X and the notoriety and the opportunity that comes along with coaching at a facility like that presents, for you to turn that down. Like I said, I think that speaks a lot of your character and who you are as a coach and who you are as a person. You're pretty inked up, man. Why don't you tell us about kind of what some of this stuff's about?
So, this is about a year old. I got this sleeve done over at it's called Arlo Di Cristofano. My actual artist was Gary. His name's Sheffield. Jacob Sheffield.
He was trying to shout you out, Jacob. He was trying to shout you out,
Jacob
bro.
Sheffield at Elysium Studios in Grand Junction. It's one of the top 10 tattoo artists in the country. Problem is that they're so good that you got to schedule them a year and a half in advance.
Right.
So it takes a while, but it's worth it.
So you might have your next piece by like 2023.
Yeah. I won't go anywhere else besides there.
That's
though.
awesome, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, they're real good. I had to get Mark. Mark wants to finish his sleeve, and with his schedule, it's ridiculous. So you'll never see his sleeve finished.
How does so like working in a place like that? You know, I was a coach at a pretty busy gym in Omaha, Nebraska, Mick Doyle's gym for a long, long time. I fought out of there for 20 plus years, and then moved into the coaching role. And so like guys like Cassius Kane, Anthony Smith. You know, I trained Anthony for a long time. Um, how is it with having I know how hard it was just with how busy his schedule was locally and him traveling back and forth to Ireland and stuff like that. But how hard is it, and how can Mark kind of keep a handle on everything at that place? You know, like the guy is gone. He's got fights every weekend, you know, high profile stuff.
The biggest thing is that Mark instills a culture into the gym, and he not only instills it into the fighters but also into the coaches. He requires every coach to do a minimum of 4 hours of internship under him, so that not only do you understand the way he wants things done, but you buy into that way. For me, I got my degree in sports management, and when I did my internship, it was more based off of the business side, because I'm looking into expanding into the management side once I get done with firefighting. But he requires that just even mitt holders have to hold mitts for 400 hours. He wants it so that any guy can go and corner for UFC and he feels comfortable. The problem is that a lot of fighters get upset that he's gone. If you come into town for a 6-week camp and he's gone for 2 of those weekends because he has to corner other guys,
they feel like they're getting the short end of the stick.
They get upset, and you have to explain to them, if you choose to come here, that's a part of the choice. You will get one-on-one time when he's there, but he does have to go other places, and you have to be able to just be mature enough to know that you're left in guys' hands that are doing exactly what Mark wants to be done.
Well, I think too, and this isn't a slam against schools like American Top Team or things like that, but a lot of those schools, they have so many affiliates, and I think that fighters go to these places, America Top Team, Kentucky or whatever, and they think that just because that name's on there that they're going to get the same quality of training. And a lot of those places like American Top Team, they just kind of farm out to rake in the bucks, man. And that's not saying anything against American Top Team. I think that the main schools that they have are pretty established, and obviously they've got some of the top guys in the world, you know. But they do kind of farm that name out and kind of pimp it out a little bit. And knowing Mark over the last couple years, and having worked with him, worked corners with him, and been on the phone with him and stuff like that, I can't ever see Mark watering down the Factory X product. I don't think that probably anybody he puts in place as a coach over there, it's not like anybody's getting a B team.
Right.
It's not a JV thing,
Not at all. And that's what he wants to, that's why he doesn't bring in coaches. He doesn't hire coaches from outside. There's been plenty of coaches that said that they want to come and they want to coach. And it's not a knock against their knowledge. It's that he wants his culture, and he wants his direction to be followed when he's not there. And another coach might do everything that Mark wants when he's there. When he's not there, who knows?
Right.
So he wants to ensure that the coaches that he develops are all within. They've been in the system. They know exactly the way things are supposed to be done. And it's not a transition. If he's there, it's a seamless transition. He's not there. So it is Mark. And Mark has had opportunities to had big sponsorships come, and they say, we'll give you a large sum of money to expand the gym, open up locations all around. And he's turned them down because he built it from the ground up, and now once he's making, he's at a level that he can sustain. Now somebody wants to come in and be a partner, and he said, I'm not going to sell myself once I make it. I needed them when I had nothing. There's no reason for that. I need them now, so he doesn't want to relinquish.
Yeah, like I'll buy into Pepsi Cola right now.
Right,
what
right.
I'm saying? I'll do that.
Yeah.
I'll do it in a heartbeat. So let me ask you this, a couple more things I want to touch base on before we get out of here. So with that being in mind, and just from coach to coach, I am of the opinion that, knowledge-wise, we're all teaching the same stuff. We all can teach how to throw a low kick. We can all teach guys how to do a single leg. We can all teach guys, good boxing combos or how to work the clinch. But to me, what separates coaches is the ability to communicate and the execution of how you're going to approach a fight or how you're going to approach your training. We all know about diet. We all know about cardiovascular training. We all know about strength and conditioning training. We all know about Muay Thai. We all know the same stuff. But what makes a good coach is the ability to communicate it not only to your coaching staff but to the fighter himself, and then to be able to draw a fighter back in when maybe he's in the deep waters. And I don't think that I've ever seen a guy do that probably as well as I have Mark, in the corner,
Oh, that's one thing that I pride myself on. When I'm coaching with Mark and both of us in the corner, I'll see something and I won't yell it out, because the way I believe is when they're day-to-day sparring, they hear Mark telling them instructions. They know Mark's voice and they want to hear Mark's voice. So when we're in the corner, even if I see something, I'll say it to Mark and Mark will yell it out. And Mark doesn't have the arrogance to be like, ignore me or, not say it. Everything I'll say, he'll say it immediately, because he knows that 4 eyes are better than 2. He trusts his coaches. And I believe that kind of leading, it makes you, it builds a trust. Everything about Mark's direction is all about trust. He trusts what you're saying, what you're doing, and your guidance. And if you show that you trust his guidance, and you'll never be, left astray.
It's so funny that you brought that up, because the first time I worked a corner with Mark was when Anthony fought Andrew Sanchez in Kansas City. And I'd been training Anthony up to that point, and we were getting ready to make the transition where Anthony was going to come out and be a Factory X guy. And so we talked about how the corner was going to work, me, him, and Scott Morton. And Mark said the whole time, he goes, I want you to talk to him. I'll tell you what to do. Yeah. And it didn't make sense to me at the time. I was like, okay, well, he's been working with you. He's going to listen to you. And he goes, no, I'm just going to tell you, and you yell it. Yeah. But it's because for the last 3.5 years, Anthony had been hearing my voice in the corner. And so now that you said that kind of provides some clarity to kind of where Mark was coming from, and that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. The last thing I want to kind of touch on is, you guys, we all know the guys that come out of Factory X, the Ians, the Anthonys, the Dustin Jacobys. But why don't you tell me about some of these up and coming guys? I mean, you guys got some killers on the come up, and you got a handful of them here in town tonight,
Yeah. Obviously, I mean, it's not really a secret anymore. Macy Barber, she's fighting tonight, actually. She's no secret. She is the future. Sid Bice, 125er.
Beast. Sid Bice is a monster. Yeah, that dude is a monster.
He's he needs opportunity. He keeps getting injured.
I was gonna say, what do you think is holding him back from getting a call?
I think he definitely has phones ringing. It's just that he keeps getting little injuries here and there, so he has to say no, and then they forget about him. Like they want him on a last minute right after a fight, and he's got an injury after fights, and so he has to turn it down, and then they forget about him. And then he's on the shelf for 6 months, and he's got to redo it all over again. And that Michael Perez fight, that was huge. He out wrestled an Olympic, gold medalist, and he ended up losing. And I mean, it displayed in loss. I don't think you can get a bigger notoriety from a loss than that fight. The way that he showed his grappling, skills. But I think he's a huge star. It sucks that we don't know what's going on with the UFC at 125. But, one is definitely an opportunity for him, that I think one is going to be the powerhouse for 25s in the future. I personally believe that. But we'll see how it goes. Obviously, everybody that's 25 wants to stay stateside. They'd love to be in the UFC. Right. But we'll see how it goes. Sid, of course, Yusuf.
I was just about to ask about the little homie.
Yeah, Yusuf, loudmouth Yusuf is he's legit.
Well, not only is legit, like you said, loudmouth Yusuf, man. I mean, that kid, he cannot be in the same building, let alone the same room as you, and you not know that
Yeah.
Yusuf Zalal is there, man.
Yeah.
You know.
And Yusuf, he's a great kid. Comes from a great family,
Love that kid.
and he does everything the right way. And he's all the best attribute of Yusuf is that he's willing to learn. He's always willing to learn. Through wins, through losses, the very first thing he comes back and he asks, how did I do? What did you think? What can I do better? Wins or losses, regardless, he always wants to learn. He's always in the gym. When he's not training, he's training others, and he's Mark's number 2, and I'm happy to say that he's Mark's number 2 because he devotes 100% of his time in the gym. And whenever Mark needs somebody to step in and corner, he's always there. Of course, that's his job. He has nothing else to do. But I give it to him. He devotes 100% to this life, and he embraces it. He doesn't drink, doesn't party. He's had a tragedy in his family with his brother dying, car accident, and ever since then, he doesn't even look at alcohol. And that's we got. What I say, Sid. We got him. Markel, this is probably going to be his last amateur fight. Markel's looking to go pro, and I think he's ready. He's got freakish athletic ability, super strong, and I think he wants to learn the same way. All these guys, that's the greatest attribute is that they want to learn and they want to get better. There's some guys that have the natural ability and they don't want to learn. They think they know it all, which is fine. You'll be great at the regional, local level, but once you get to the big times, everybody's got that ability. You need to be able to learn,
Sure,
and adapt. And so we have some guys like that. It's something that is hard to watch. It's when you have guys that have freakish athletic ability, they don't want to learn, and you have guys that are hard workers, but they just don't have it. They don't have that fighting factor.
Right.
They're great athletes, but they're not fighters. So they think that if they work 100% every day in the gym, that they should win every fight. But it's not like sports.
Yeah.
You can be the best and hardest worker and you go out there and still get beat. It just
For sure.
it doesn't work like that. So we have a lot of guys. I'm missing a lot of guys, up and comers, but definitely Sid, Yusuf, Macy, Markel.
Just kind of a nonstop, like you said, it's a factory, man. You guys are producing them.
Yeah, there's
you guys
one
are
after the
producing
other.
them. Yeah,
and it's awesome to watch, because a lot of the guys, the old guys, the guys that were there when I was starting, they all retired, and now the second generation, like the Joe Warren, Chris Camozzi, they're coming towards the end of their careers, and then now you got the third generation that are there, and that's the Yusufs and Sids.
That's
and
awesome.
all those guys.
That's awesome, man.
So yeah, it's exciting to watch. It makes it coaching fun because they want all the information.
For sure, man.
Yeah.
Randy, it was good meeting you, man. It was good catching up with you. I always enjoy,
appreciate
getting in contact and staying in touch with Mark's guys. So we'll have to stay in touch in the future. But we appreciate you sitting down and with MMA Futures and having a chat, man. So thanks for stopping by, and we'll see you at the fights tonight, brother.
Yes, sir.
All right,
Thank
man.
you.